Okay. Right. Okay, David, I think we will start now.
Okay.
So off you go.
Just a few minutes. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, can hear you.
I'm not too loud?
No. Do we
No.
mute our mics, David?
No, it's okay. I don't mind.
I don't.
So just a few minutes, first of all, on behalf of the Centre, to welcome everyone. And as I said, I've just been coming up from Edinburgh after a very short trip down. And it reminded me actually that we keep using this word lockdown, but we're actually not all in lockdown. There's still many things we can do that we did before, but sometimes our conditioning, particularly the way the media presents it, gives us the impression that we're in lockdown. But we can now still go to work, we can work from home, we can go for walks in the park, we can meet up with limited numbers of people in a cafe, in a restaurant. We had to stay in a hotel when we went down to Edinburgh, and we went for breakfast as we would normally do, slightly different arrangements. We had dinner last night as we would normally do, slightly different arrangements. And so lockdown now isn't really the same as it was 6 months ago. Who remembers March and April? Seems a long time ago now. I remember the first week, and we turned up at the supermarket for our essential shopping. And there were so many things not on the shelves. And we had to queue outside Tesco.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember some of the queues were quite long, maybe queued for 15, 20 minutes. And they were counting people in and counting people out. Of course, we weren't wearing face coverings then. But even now, when you go to the shop, my wife Lena remarked the other day, she was in Aberdeen, and she said Aberdeen in the main shopping areas was just like a normal Saturday shopping day. Except everyone was walking around with face masks on, and all the shops had hand cleanser at the doorways. One observation was that not many people were observing social distancing. But it reminded me that all things change. Nothing is ever permanent. Nothing is ever static. From minute to minute, day to day, all things change. And who would have thought 6 months ago, even 2 months ago, that many of us would now actually be looking forward to Christmas? Actually now with the opportunity, hopefully, to meet up with some family. Looking forward now to the possibility of vaccination for those who are happy to be vaccinated. And even for some looking forward like me to the possibility that next year I might actually get to fly to see my grandchildren in Australia. And yet 6 months ago, that would have been a distant dream, for sure. So it did remind me of two things. First of all, that all things change, nothing is permanent, and we shouldn't grasp to things that we think of as permanent, because they're not. And it reminded me of a second thing, a phrase I picked up when I was reading a couple of weeks ago. And it was called, well, it was a short phrase. Our intelligence creates chaos. Our intelligence creates chaos. Sometimes, as a human race, we're so clever, we're so intelligent that it's chaos that results from our thoughts and our actions. And so sometimes we just have to reflect on the fact, I think, that the more simple we make our lives, and it takes intelligence to create a simple life as well. The more we create a simple life, the more we remove chaos from our human life. Because it's this process of thinking, it's this process of having thoughts that often create the complexity. And we had a meeting of our Abbott support group yesterday, and we were talking about governance, we were talking about health and safety, we were talking about financial arrangements, we were talking about insurance, child protection for our Sunday schools, all the complex things that as a human race we've created around the way we live our lives. And so even for a small Buddhist center, that focuses on spiritual things, we still have to embrace the chaos that's created by our intelligence. So that's my thoughts while I was driving back from Edinburgh this morning, mindfully driving, of course, but reflecting on how over the last 2 days, I've seen so many examples of where chaos has resulted from our intelligence. Some of it, of course, is necessary in this modern world, but perhaps some of it we can leave behind. Thank you, Ajahn.
So thank you very much for your reflection. The problem that we are facing is simply because of our intelligence. That's quite a nice one. So on that basis, I think I would like to say that in the practice of a meditation, we do two things. One is doing, and another thing is restraining. Can you hear properly? Yeah, everyone hear me right properly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. So one thing that we're doing is basically we're trying to force ourselves to meditate, finding the time and finding a ways and compromising with what the jobs and responsibilities that you have, and still you're trying to make time to do it, practicing it. In the meantime, restraining is something which is very difficult because our mind thinks too much. We think too much, and as a result of that, we're basically learning to restrain from engaging on things that come across. Yeah? But we cannot stop what is called engagement with the so many things that come across with us. And there is one, it reminds me the one sentence the Buddha said, that he who abstained from interfering is everywhere secure. So he who abstained from interfering is everywhere secure. And now, why we become unsecure? Because we like to interfere with so many things. Yeah, we like to interfere with weather. We like to interfere with the news. We like to interfere with all sort of things that comes to contact with us. Yeah, so that is called the the cycle of a world system. It's called a cycle of a world system. And the cycle of a world system that we engage and interfering simply because of what is it called? This greediness. Yeah? So greed or hatred. Yeah? It's called a lobha or a dosa in Pali language. Yeah? Lobha is a greedy mind. Yeah? And then dosa is a negative mind. And whatever that comes to contact, then we normally want to interfere and try to make sense according to what I know, what I have understood, what I have been through, what I have experienced. And it should be in that way. Yeah. So with that concept, we do not know how to stop. We don't know how to embrace the nature as they are, and we exaggerate more and more and more. In Chinese philosophy, Tao Te Ching, he said that he who keeps still and knows where to stop will not meet any danger. Yeah. And if you remember, from early days, I was explaining that art of stopping. I've been explaining so much on this art of stopping, and even use this word stop as an acronym so that you can apply that into the daily life. Yeah. And how to use the art of meditation to find peace and harmony and deal with this different situation in our lives. So that's why when I saw this sentence from the Tao Te Ching, uh, I found like wow, which I have been contemplating and relating to the practice and how to transfer this practice into daily life in a modern kind of a modern world. Uh, and then when I saw this sentence, it says, "He who keeps still and knows where to stop will not meet danger." So that basically it relates to the not interfering with the things that comes. And this is what the meditation is about. The sati or the mindfulness is about knowing things as they truly are without having any opinion, without having any commentaries, any judgments, but knowing the way it is. And that is the end, actually. Yeah, that is the end. Um, and so, in a Buddha's practice, the end is basically the nibbana, the ultimate goal that everyone is looking for. We are all looking for the ultimate happiness of the nibbana, where no formations. Basically, we are not forming anything at all, just keeping ourselves still and stopping and pausing at the place where we are at the moment, in the present moment. And keeping still is not easy. Keeping still is not easy. And you have experienced it a lot too. And when you try to keep still, what happens? Mind is just here and there, all around, everywhere. And then, oh, Ajahn is saying to concentrate on the breath. What I am doing? A couple of breaths, you've gone somewhere to your job, to your food, to your all the stories. You're already gone. You can't keep you still. Keep your mind still. So the art of keeping our mind into the still position is, in a way, it's a very highest achievement. Ability to stop from accumulating every action or performing every action. And then meanwhile, ability to abstain from any what's called any concern which is not beneficial. So this is how we will be practicing. Yeah. So ability to keep still. Basically, you are doing. Yeah, you're doing something. And here it comes called virya, the effort. Yeah? And now again, if you are using a virya or effort alone, uh, then you become a very energetic for some times, and then you will be focusing a lot, and you're trying too hard, and then what happens is that because of your exercising too hard, then again you cannot achieve the relaxation, yeah, and you cannot attain the calmness and bliss state of concentration. And meanwhile, you cannot stop too. Unlikely you will be able to pause with the things that comes. uh, okay, so our practice is basically ability to restrain from any interference with any objects that come into contact with us. Yeah? With that, what happens is that we automatically become conscious about our behavior, our conduct. Yeah? And with that, we got the choice to do or not to do. Yeah? Choice to do or not to do. In a way, we will be able to contemplate on more consciously about the benefit and unbeneficial of reaction to anything that we are going to perform. So it reminds me the uh, story from the Middle Length Discourse. So this is in a Buddhist scripture. There are five main books, and among them the second one is called the Middle Length Discourse. There, the Buddha advised um, to Rahula, his son, his son, saying that every action that you are going to do or intend to perform, whether that bodily or speech or mind, you should consider that action, that if in considering it you realize that the action which I intend to perform will be harmful to myself, to others, to both, then it will be an unwholesome action, producing suffering, resulting suffering, and then you should certainly not perform that action. Yeah? And also, while you are performing the action, and after you have realized that the action that I'm going to perform is harmful to myself and then harmful to others or harmful to both, and again it is unwholesome action, that shouldn't be doing too. Yeah? And so like that, you will be able to bring your awareness to every action that you are performing, um, and this stops the interference. You will be not interfering with the world system that is always, you know, enforcing us to perform, uh, with the greedy mind or with the hateful mind or hatred mind. And as you have experienced when you're meditating or whenever in your day-to-day life, when something happens, and immediately we react, and that reaction is again all the time based on our greed or hatred. Yeah, and with that we lose our concentration. So yesterday when I was teaching, I'm teaching one group. It's a 1.5 hour teaching, and there was a one question came saying that I think I have experienced this impermanent anicca, but why I'm not enlightened yet? So that was the question. I think I have understood the impermanence of things, then why I am not enlightened? Have you ever come across this question to yourself? Uh, and then and then I asked him, if somebody shouted at you, are you still angry? And he's, oh, why not? I'm obviously angry because I'm not. What he's saying, what he's saying is not right. So I become angry. And then I said, oh, if you have realized that everything is impermanent, then why this you is still angry? This impermanent body is still angry. Yeah. So that is our interference with it. Yeah? Intellectually, we think we know. Superficially, we think that we have realized, but we haven't fully understood it. And that's how it works. Yeah? And we engage. And every action that we perform is basically on the basis of a greed and a hatred and ignorance. And that's how, again, we lose our tranquility, our peace. Yeah? So in order to gain that tranquility and peace, so we have to do something. Yeah? And that doing, again, we are not doing excessively with the full efforts alone. We have to have a wisdom that whether my effort and my concentration is balanced or not. Having a too much effort, you will get too quickly bored, and having a too much concentration, you feel sleepy. Yeah, you feel sleepy, drowsy. So we have to make a balance on that. So that's why when we are doing something, we need to be mindful of that doing. And obviously, our mind needs somewhere something to rely on. And it based on that what objects are we using it. Once our mind is able to have that object as a second nature, then it's easy to get the concentration and wisdom. Okay, there was one story comes in the Dhammapada, the book of Dhamma, and the story was that brother two uh, two brothers become a monk. Right? They were very wealthy, and then they gave up all the wealth and become a monk. And a senior, elder brother, he was very good at accumulation of knowledge. He was good at knowledge. And then his brother, younger brother, was very dull. So elder brother gave this his brother, the younger brother, to recite some verses just to give some knowledge about the teachings. And every time when he recites, and every time when he tries to remember, he cannot remember. Doesn't matter how many days he's been reciting that. End of the day, when he had to give to his brother, he can't complete even the two stanzas. And then his brother told him off, saying, "How on earth become a monk and you can't even remember just the one stanza? You better do not be a monk. Give up monkhood and go back in your family life." And then young brother, so sad, so upset, and said, "Oh, even my brother discarded me now, saying that I better be a layman rather than a monk. So my brother said so, and now I will leave monkhood." Yeah, and then he had a thought come up saying that before I leave a monkhood, I will go to see the Buddha. Yeah? So come to see the Buddha and then say, "Oh, Lord Buddha, I'm going to give up my monkhood because I can't even remember one stanza. My brother also told me a doll. So I am going to give up." And then Buddha said, "Oh, did you become a monk for your brother?" "No." "And who do you become a monk for?" "Oh, I become a monk to realize the truth." And then Buddha gave a piece of cloth, a white piece of cloth, and then asked him to rub in his hand like this. Yeah. And then as he is rubbing, let him recite the word called Rajo Harang, Rajo Harang, Rajo Harang. So as physically he was rubbing a piece of cloth, and then mentally he was reciting the word. Yeah. Rajo harang, rajo harang, rajo harang. And then after he felt a little bit tired, he looked at the piece of white cloth. The white cloth was dark, black, and he realized, oh, what happened? Early on, this piece of cloth was so white, and now it's gone black. And with this, suddenly he got the enlightenment, saying that, oh, my mind is also like that. As long as I'm interfering and not able to concentrate, my mind has got so much disturbing. So with that, he was enlightened. So like that, we have to have an object of the proper object, and we are able to deal with that. And here, given two objects, one physically doing something, and meanwhile restraining from any distractions. So that's why mentally you are reciting the verses. And with that, you are having only two objects here. One is the physical appear and physically doing something, and mentally, reciting something. And with that, his mind become concentrated, free from all the interference with all the defilements and all the distractions, and able to attain the enlightenment. So we are also like that. We have so many things coming into in our minds, and engage with so many thoughts and so many problems and difficulties. Now, this is a time that we are learning a meditation, to do the meditation to restrain from any engagement, learning to stop here and now, keeping our mind in a moment here and now. Okay, so with this reflection, let's practice meditation. Okay, so sitting in comfortable position with the sound of a gong, I will lead you. Okay, so find the comfortable position, and you may gently close your eyes and spend few moments on the breath, and relax the entire body. And be mindful of your body. Sometimes we have pains and aches, sicknesses in our body. Or if you're having any difficulties in your body, just give a warm hug. Think about when you hit your finger, another hand will come and grab until you feel ease. And when your child is suffered, you will hug and give him comfort until stops crying. And during that time, you have a kind and a compassionate heart to comfort that child, and healing will start. So similarly, our body, we have been through so much. Some illnesses are there, some physical pains are there, difficulties are there. Giving our compassionate attention to the body, listening deeply to our own heart, to our own body. And when you listen deeply to this body, we realize that this entire body is made out of four elements. And similarly, the entire world made out of four elements. So we are not separated from the entire world. Our body is like an entire world. In the world, there are rivers and mountains and there are oceans. Similarly, in our body too, there are rivers and blood veins, mountains and ups and downs in our bodies, different musculars, bones. As we care for the nature and environment, that begins from within ourselves. Awareness of entire body. And with the compassionate attention to the body, the complexity of the body gradually heals with your mental energy. So that Buddha said that if we want to know the world, know our own body. We spend much time trying to understand and trying to know about the world out there. And the more we try to understand it, the miserable we become, more miserable we become. But when we channel this awareness to our own body, basically we are trying to understand our true reality. It's awareness of who we truly are. So that's why when you are connecting with your body, awareness of your body sitting here and embracing, giving a warm hug, it is not just you're giving a warm hug, but any tension or sickness or wounds there, it just opens up. allowing us to understand it. And gradually, as we accept them, it heals the body. Mind has got the energy to heal those wounds. The healing energy will simply begin or flows automatically. And that's why Buddha said in the famous discourses, the Satipatthana, that a practice of a meditation helps to heal our body and the mind, overcoming from sorrow and lamentations, pain of the physical body and pain of the mind. And as a result, Buddha first instructed to be mindful of the body. Saying that be mindful of the body in the body. So each time when you are experiencing anything, always you will experience in your body, through the body. Whether the tension, whether the sadness, whether the stress, anxiety, depression, everything. It affects our body. So be mindful of this body. And give compassionate awareness and attention, caring. Appreciating. So along with the incoming breath and outgoing breath, rising, falling takes place. And with that awareness of the entire body, be mindful of the entire body sitting here and now. Giving a compassionate awareness, being kind and gentle. And if you have any illnesses or wounds in your body, channel your energy to there and simply with a thought of a healing. But nevertheless, this is also impermanent. This body is also impermanent. Nature is also impermanent. Everything is impermanent, always changes. nothing remains the same. So as we practice, do not interfere with anything that is coming, accepting them as impermanent, that changes. Do not interfere at all. Do not comment on it at all. Simply awareness of it and let it be. So breathing in, breathing out, rising, falling, awareness of entire body, and let it be. Just stopping from any engagement, any interference, but having a good motivation to continue practicing, mindful of things as occur. Breathing in, breathing out, rising, falling. Mindful of the body, in the present moment, the way you are, the way your body is, without expectation, without engagement, giving a tender awareness, compassionate attention, be kind. With the sound of a gong slowly coming out from meditation. Okay, so this is the practice, and now this is opportunity to share your experiences and ask the questions. Uh, or tell the stories? Anyone? Yeah, go ahead. The floor is yours. No one? Okay. This is a very usual moment that I always get. Doesn't matter. It's when you are at the center or in the halls, even this online. Always, whenever I give an opportunity to ask questions or share, goes quiet. It's like just woke up from the sleepiness. Mind is still shut down. Okay. Yeah, David, you have to unmute if you want to say something.
Unmute, yeah. Um, and it's just a reflection rather than a question, but a reflection that might be worthy of some discussion. Um,
Mhm,
in our meditation practice, um, and particularly discussing the teaching linked to that, we use these phrases greed, hatred, and delusion.
mhm,
And I found in the courses we ran that needed quite a bit of explanation.
mm,
Because in the Western world, greed means really greedy. We don't view ourselves as inherently greedy.
uh-huh,
And hatred tends to mean really hating. We
uh-huh,
don't tend to regard ourselves as having hatred
mm,
in our natural lives.
mm,
And so I found those terms often needed repeating and
mhm,
explanation again and again and again.
mm,
So there was a wider understanding
mm,
of the meaning of those terms in our day-to-day lives.
mhm. Okay, all right. It's a big topic, yeah, and I also don't know yet fully if I have known this greed, hatred, and delusion completely. I am enlightened, so I am not, but I will explain from what I have understood. Yeah, in the practice of a meditation, greed, hatred, and delusion taken in a very subtlety, a very neatly in a small bit of things. Our every reaction to basically everything, yeah? Basically everything. Our reaction to everything is based on these three main roots. That's why it is known as a main root cause of a things. Okay? Main root cause of a things. Now, greed is basically our eye, ear, nose, tongue, and a body, even the mind, when it comes to contact with the objects. Let's say I sees an object or a color, and that moment, the desire to have it is a greed. That's our interference, right? Our reaction to it, and our any reaction to anything uh, always has got these two form, greed and hatred. And that's simply because of our ignorance that everything is impermanent. Even our eye sees an object, uh, it's just the natural connection. Uh, but that feeling of this contact, this feeling arises with this, it's a temporarily, but we take it as a permanent, and we engage on that. So proliferating on that, accumulating on that, and that is known as the greed. And if that's a negative, I don't want it, I don't like it, and I wish it never comes to me, then that is the hate. Uh, especially when we are meditating. And as I have said already, Achan asked us to meditate on the breath, abdomen, and now I cannot do it. Please go away. I want to do it. So that's again, there is a hate. The mental state of a hate is there. That also needs to recognize there. Yeah. So recognition of it is basically able to overcome. So in the practice, we are not talking about like a gross greedy or too greedy or hate and not fully hated thing. That's a very very easy to understand, but this is talking about in a minor pieces of it, and a small breaking it down into a piece, very fine pieces. And after we have seen the small pieces in that way, then gradually we will be able to comprehend the bigger ones and able to let it go, let it be. And as I said, someone said, I have known everything is impermanent, why I am still having angry. And that's simply because there is still the greediness of I exist, this is me, I am better than what you are saying. And that's how it comes. Yeah? So in the practice, that's why we practice to stop, not to engage, and pausing ourselves, or keeping still, and not engaging with anything. Ability to know things the way are, rather than as we want it to be. Uh, Okay, that's the. Anyone else? You can share your experience, how far you manage to meditate, and how much you're distracted. And don't be shy to tell that I have been distracted a whole 15 minutes of a meditation. And all what I want to know is what did you do when your mind is distracted, rather than following the instruction. What were you doing?
Ajahn,
Yeah.
I was distracted by the birds in the garden.
Okay. What did
Wh-
you do?
Sorry?
What did you do?
I'm sitting next to the garden and we have a very lively garden with lots of birds just now. And
Uh-huh.
they're all flying in and out, feeding.
Yeah.
And I could hear them.
Okay.
And I found myself for a while listening to the birds
Hmm.
rather than listening to your guidance. It was very
Yeah.
pleasant, by the way.
So that pleasant is greed. You
Sorry?
like that pleasantness is your greed. You like
Yes,
it.
yes. I was too
So in
attached to it.
yeah, early on before the practice, I mentioned that you have to do something and resist something, right? So it's supposed to be you're doing practice and resisting from any other distractions. Yeah. So here again, when these are distractions, the sound is a distraction. Okay, and the another way of looking at is we hear the sound because we put the attention to it. If our attention is not to that sound, then we won't hear it at all. Doesn't matter how loud that sound is. If you ignore it, you won't hear it. As long as your mind is there, then you will hear that. So that's why there is a example given. The very famous meditation master Ajahn Chah said, when he was told that, oh, I live next to the bar, and in the bar every night there are loud music going on and I can't meditate. And then he simply said, oh, the music was disturbing or you disturbed the music. Uh, so as initially I said, everything is naturally there. Yeah, it's up to us us how much we put attention on it. And whereas in the practice that we are practicing to develop our ability to know our mind, our ability to train our mind, in this case we have to do, which is practicing, and in the meantime try to have a less reaction or interference with anything that comes to contact with us. Ability to be with the object. Yes, Carmina?
Yeah, yeah, mine was the natural light. See here, I forgot before we started to pull down the other blind, and yes, I did let it disturb me a little bit, but I tried not to, and I tried not to cheat to open up my eyes, but sometimes when this moved, the light
Yeah.
came into my eyes, so I did cheat and open my eyes in between. But distraction of sound was all right for me. There was distractions of sound, but I just noted it and carried on. But maybe this light thing is a new thing for me because I usually pull it down. So that's me. But then is that my greed, the natural light?
No, that's not a greed, but just conditioned that you feel comfortable when there is no light. And as
Yeah.
you being conditioned with that situation, when it's not there, and that automatically disturbs, and there is a, in a way, sense of a little bit of a hate there, hateful mind that I don't like it, and but again, you are able to accept it's okay, too late.
Yeah.
So you're able to accept that, then that means that you have this awareness there, and you accept it, and that acceptance counts. And these are a little bit of, little piece of things when we able to accept it, despite of knowing that I don't like it, and it's still there. So these are the beginning, this working, something is working there and helping you to understand that. Yeah? So with
Thank
this,
you.
as you develop, gradually, you will be able to tolerate, and you tolerate to anything, and you become more resilient to the things, and that's common. You become a kind of a naturally, how to say, naturally
Adaptable?
able to, adaptable, and ability to let it be, rather than creating this hate. I wish I have done it early on. And if you're just having this, I wish I have done this, continue going on, then basically you become a mental, stress, become a stress that you can't
Yeah.
meditate, but you accept it. And by accepting it, so you're able to stay calm.
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you.
like that. Right. Maria, she is blocked and no words hearing anything she wants to say.
Sorry. Uh, oh,
Okay. Are you trying to say something, Maria, or no worries? Okay, anyone else wants to?
Just as oh, sorry, Karina, did you want to say?
Oh, it's okay, David, you can.
I was just going to say, from one of the Wednesday morning meditations, I had an email from someone who was saying that quite regularly they're tempted, when you were online, there's this temptation to look to see if the person leading the meditation is watching. And with online practice, it's quite easy to get annoyed with yourself for doing that. And the more you get annoyed with yourself, the more you do it.
Mhm.
And that's something else that we have to let go of.
Mm.
Not just the fact that we open our eyes sometimes because we're curious, but then the negative reaction of the mind to the fact that we can't control that.
Mm.
So there's, if you like, two aspects to it that we have to stop being attached to.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sorry, Karina, you were going to say something.
Oh, it's okay. I just wanted to share that when I meditate, often my mind ran to random thoughts. And just now,
Mm.
for example, when I was doing the meditation, I got distracted by these thoughts. And these thoughts was basically like the structure of a house. How is a house constructed? So this is just random thoughts that came. Sometimes it's not thinking about the past or the future. It's just randomly. So I don't know where it comes from and why. Like why I was thinking now in the structure of the house, and my mind just got distracted with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's normal. It happens. Um, that's sometimes so subtle that our mind can grasp even a one or two sentences or words, and then we can add on, exaggerate on so many related things. So that's why it's called a sankhara. It's like a proliferation. We're proliferating on something else and manifesting on small thing, making it more and more and more. Yeah, so that's why the sankhara is, or this proliferation, or sometimes it is known as a volitional, your volition. Uh, you're creating new things. So you, in your will, you are making things, and sometimes maybe on the basis of what you have experienced and what you have known and what you are in, and like that. Yeah? So it goes on, and whereas that's what the practice of a meditation is, to have ability to end that actions. It's called a sankhara upasama. Yeah, it's called a sankhara upasama. Means ending the exaggeration or ending the proliferation. And in order to have that one, basically, no interference. But again, it will happen at all the time. Yeah, it will. And what we are practicing is to understand that my mind is in this condition, and as soon as we realize that, then we're stopping there rather than going along with it. That how many walls there are, how many doors there are, and how many windows there are, like that. So rather than going into that detail, do not go to the contents of it, but see it. Okay, now I see this house. That's it, done. But in a practice, and one more thing I want to add here is that when we practice, our mind always try to find excuses to do something else rather than what we are supposed to do. And that's one of the David's comments saying, want to know whether someone is meditating or not. So that's also, the mind can play tricks all the time, in many ways, many forms. And one of the first initial stages, what we will experience is when we hear the sounds, we want to open our eyes and have a look what's going on. And then, and in the meantime, we want to make sure that that is about that thing and that thing. Sometimes you even can't see. Suppose you're, sitting in your house and you hear the vehicle passing through. You even haven't seen the vehicle, but hearing the noise, the sound, you try to make it up, that what car is that, who is driving, which direction it's coming from. And what is he's doing, why he's ramping so hard, why someone is driving so slow, what's going on. Maybe he's playing music, or he's talking on a phone, goes on so much. You haven't seen it. So that's why mind always try to find excuses to play with, try to engage with that stories at all the time, and that's how it will take us away from meditation object. And that's the reason why our mindfulness, the more we practice, we will be able to notice that. And the second stage, what happens is, as you're able to shut down your eyes and your nose, and you're able to ignore or even can't hear the noise, or you have an intention to open your eyes. Once you have done that, the second thing what happened is something is moving in your face, something is happening in your body. So that's the second stage it happened. And even just a small bit of moving here, and you will be exaggerating as a big insect is going into your face. And then if I'm not going to clean it now, it will may go to my ears. And if I go into my ears, and then that will make terrible. I may have to go to the doctor. And if more than that, again, if it goes to in my nose, then I cannot sneeze, or maybe I will be sneezing. Goes on. Yeah. But if you open your eyes, then you won't see anything here. Anything, nothing. All is your sensation. Basically, as I think, if you remember, our whole body is always moving something. Something is moving at all the time. And as soon as our mind becomes concentrated, then we become so aware of those. And then when we become aware of that, rather than knowing it as it is, then we exaggerating it. Goes on and on and on and on. Yeah. So that will be the second stage you will be experiencing. And further on, okay, further on, it's become a external things. It will go into the internally, and then you will be again having visions. You will be having a conversation with the wise people, seeing the Buddha, seeing the masters, and ability to read others' mind, and so on. You're able to lift yourself, and will goes on. Lists are many. There are over, I think, about 16 or 17 types of things will happen internally as well. So the mind is so clever in that case. What we are doing is not resisting it. We know that. And before going into the detail, we stop there. Okay, now it's happening. Thanks. Enough. That's it. And that's how we will be able to stop every moment. Okay. Right. So I think it's time to practice a loving kindness meditation to wrap it up. Anyone else, anything want to share or anything at the end?
Jana was, off you go.
Yeah. Something that spoils my meditation is I've always got a cough. I've always got cough.
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 Yeah.
And I can't.
That's fine.
I try not to, and then it gets worse and worse, and I have to take a drink.
Don't worry. If you're coughing, then just cough. Do not think that coughing making you disturbed. You just cough and then simply stay still and watch the primary object. And if you have to drink water, then again drink it. Doesn't matter how many times you have to cough, just free, cough it. Okay. Do not think that you're going to disturb somebody else. Yeah? Do not think that you're going to disturb others' meditation. It's their job to recognize the noise.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. David?
Yes, it's our job just to say that was just a cough.
Yeah.
Not what type of cough, or what sound, or how loud it was, or whose cough it was just a cough. I was going to ask her, Jean, I read in something I was reading recently, that to help us with letting go of distractions, particularly of the mind, it'd be quite useful at the end of a practice just to reflect on one or two distractions, particularly of the mind, so a thought, and ask yourself, where did that thought come from? And try and track the thought back to where you think it came from. Is that good practice, or is it just a commercial add-on?
If that helps you, then do it. But the practice shouldn't be like that. If that helps you at the end, if you want to reflect back, then it's okay. But when we are practicing, we are not going into that detail, because as you go into progress, you will see the cause and effects instantly at that time when it happens. And you will be able to let it go as the causes falls away. Okay, so let's practice the loving kindness meditation to finish off. So sitting comfortably, and bring your attention to the body awareness. And relax. Spend a few moments on today's practice. And as you breathe in and breathe out, rising and falling, just to settle down yourself. Embracing your entire body. Giving a compassionate attention. Deeply relating the entire body with the world. And realizing the nature of impermanence. And allowing yourself to be happy. Don't be too harsh on yourself. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to be safe, to be kind to oneself. appreciating the body which is serving so well, thanking and offering kindness to yourself, particularly to your body and even to your mind. As a whole, may I be happy, or I am happy. I am at peace. I am free from suffering. Free from troubles of body and mind. And similarly, sharing loving kindness and compassion to all other sentient beings, starting from near dear ones, or any particular person that you would like to share. May they be happy. May they be at peace. May they be free from suffering. May they be free from hurtfulness, hatred, troubles of body and mind. May they be able to maintain their happiness. May they be liberated. And bring your attention to your hands, aware of the sensations in your hand. And bring that awareness to your body. Observing any sensations that are taking place in your body. And to your eyes. And as you hear the gong slowly coming out from meditation, and reflect for a few moments. Okay, thank you, everyone. So this
Thank you
is
very
the
much.
end.
I have to go now. Thank
All
you.
right, take care. Enjoy
Bye,
your
Thank
everybody.
exercise.
you. Bye.
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 Bye.